What's up everybody, Anthony here, Empire Music, empiremusic.com. Really excited to make this video today. Kind of threw it together at the last second here, so consider it like it's like an emergency video, right? Very rare opportunity to compare and answer a question, but to compare a Fender Custom Shop bass to a true vintage bass. So the two basses I have here, and we'll start here on my right, your left. This is a real deal 1964 Precision Bass. We took this in on trade a few weeks ago. Obviously it's here at the time of filming this. Who knows how long this is gonna last. Kind of the holy grail of P basses. This was as far as when we think about the split coil design. This thing's it's incredible, as you'll see and hear. And then to compare it to something, and I had some debate about this. This is my personal Empire 58. It wasn't about me, showing off the bass that I have. No, what really happened there was I was gonna use like a 66 that we had in stock when I was thinking about making this video, because that was like the closest year to the 64. But everything here in the shop had round wound strings on it. And I didn't want to get into replacing the strings on one of our inventory basses. And I knew my 58 had Labella low tensions on it. This also has flats on it. When I compared this to any bass in the custom shop line that we have with rounds on it, it was just such a seismic difference right off the bat because of the type of string. So it really wasn't not that it's a comparison. We get asked a lot, whether it's Strats, Tellys, whatever it is, jazz basses, P basses, how good is Fender Custom Shop versus the vintage stuff? You know what I mean? What's the reason for waiting for vintage or getting custom shop? The things that we will kind of notice right away is we're talking rosewood versus maple. So we're gonna have an inherent difference right on the fingerboard wood. You're not gonna have the, sorry, pointing over here, you're not gonna have the like transient attack of maple, which is a harder wood than what rosewood is. So that initial attack of plucking the string, fretting it down to the fretboard, there's a mellower front portion of the note right away with it, and you'll hear that in the video. And then obviously this is our Empire 58 spec pickup in it. I put this on the multimeter, like measuring the DC resistance, and this is my personal one. I had to just reconfirm it to myself. This is 8.72 on the multimeter, and we, purposely underwind this pickup, or we have Fender Custom Shop purposely underwind this pickup. This 64 came in closer to 11. I believe it was like 10.94, so 2.2 difference. With that, typically speaking, you gain a little bit of low end, you lose a little bit of that top end articulation. That's why I like underwinding a pickup. But 2.2 isn't enough to really notice a massive volume dip, or jump, I should say. away listening to these basses, you know, on their own, soloed. You definitely notice the little bit brighter attack from the maple versus the warmer front end of the note of the rosewood. And as expected, a little more, I really do think that the 58 is a little bit more sensitive and dynamic of a pickup, where the 64, I think if you were just, you know, getting right down to brass tacks, is a little bit more supportive of an instrument. If you had to say that, I find any instrument that has a little bit, any bass that has a little bit more low end to it, you could kind of quantify that as being a more supportive bass on the surface. When we think about in a band setting, doesn't mean this all of a sudden lacks low end or anything like that. And I think you gain a lot back by the articulation and the sensitivity of underwinding a pickup like that. But they both sound incredible. They both play, I mean, they're both absolute joys to play. And obviously there's a difference in them, but I mean, what a sound and what a nice, they both really capture that vintage P-bass vibe very, very well. Listening to these basses soloed, we can start to dissect every little nuance of each instrument. We can hear that articulation on the top end from the maple. We can hear the more rounded front portion of the note. So that top end articulation on the right when you attack it isn't quite as present with the rosewood as I wouldn't expect it to be. You always catch more of that with maple. But we can start to split the hairs on the differences between them. Slightly different pickup, again, different fretboard wood. They both have their merits. They both sound really, really good. Resonance and sustain wise, I think it's kind of a wash. I really hear that difference just at the front portion of the note and that slightly more output from the pickup on the 64. You definitely hear the strings. These are 30-year-old strings. These are 3-year-old strings. You definitely hear the difference there. Feel-wise, we'll get into that. But they both have their merits, and you can hear it right away soloing these instruments. The vintage P-bass DNA, the vintage P-bass thing is right there, very focal, very upfront with each bass. Both amazing. track with some accompanying instruments. Those nuances that we spoke about earlier as we soloed them, I feel become a lot less significant. We almost kind of equal these basses out in that case. You still hear a little bit of that nuance in the articulation up front on the note. You do hear the slightly hotter output on the pickup. In a track, in a band setting, I don't know that you're really gonna tell a big difference between a relatively brand new Fender Custom Shop, or I think this is a 2020 Fender Custom Shop, versus a 1964. I really think there's validity to both. I think you end up in a really good spot with the Custom Shop. Price point and sound that you get out of it. I think this is a luxury purchase. This is something that is certainly going to increase in value over time. This is an investment piece, there's no doubt about that. There's just not that many of them available anymore. But sonically, they are very similar. As you hear in a mix, a lot of those differences become less. As we hear them soloed, you can start to dissect all the nuances on them. But you hear them in a mix, and I think they are, again, outside of the minor differences on the fretboard and the pickup and the strings, I think they're as close as you can get. So it's a testament to how great the Fender Custom Shop stuff is. You get a great one, you get a great one. It's also a testament to how amazing the vintage stuff has held up, and how, you know, that golden era of bass is still so relevant in music and so appropriate for music today. It's incredible. Really lucky to be able to shoot this video. Two incredible basses. True 1964 pre-CBS Fender P bass versus my personal Empire 58 P bass. This is a new Fender Custom Shop. This is true vintage Fender. They're both incredible. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, feel free to give me a call at the shop, 412-343-5299. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.